talking about it, using different names, whether it's the economic partnership arrangements. But the point is that the essence of all of that is an inequality, inequity. And therefore, but we don't get to set the terms, not yet. And notice I say not yet, because there are some emerging economies that are coming forth in the world now. Good example, the so-called BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China. And so the whole balance of power is already shifting in the world. And therefore, I think it presents an opportunity for us, especially people in the third world, joining with African Americans so that we do almost what Garvey was calling for from the 1930s. He was calling for, at the time, a United States of Africa. Can you imagine a world where black people could really come together in their interest, where we could build together, where we could create prosperity together, where we could care for each other? But another legacy of slavery is a fragmentation and alienation. So that you find even when a group of third world countries want to come together, we used to call it a South-South connection. That it has a number of challenges, because sometimes there's a lack of trust. Sometimes people look inwardly and say, but if I cooperate with so-and-so, I have oil, they don't have oil, what does that mean for my country? So we are evolving, and we're going to get to the stage, we have to get to the stage, if only because we must, where we can have genuine cooperation together. I had the privilege, when I was married to Michael Manley, to attend a non-aligned conference in Havana. And I remember I sat there and I started to write a poem. As leader after leader from the third world went up to the podium and taught. You know, it was coming up from, look how many resources are in this room. Everything was in that room. Whether it was oil, whether it was bauxite, whatever it was all in the room. And we're all poor. And I said, there's a lesson in here somewhere. The first world countries need our stuff. They take the raw materials, they add value to it, and that's where the money is. We remain poor, they remain rich. Something is wrong here. So I guess what I'm saying about globalization is, in this new era of globalization, and some people question how new it is. You know, at economic level, yes, it's been there.
Slavery was globalization.
Oh, please.
The slave trade. Sure.
It's there. So I'm just saying we need to get to the stage where we can remember, we can decide that we are powerful. We are powerful beyond measure. I had the opportunity a couple of summers ago to go to a leadership seminar at Harvard, Kennedy School. And the morning we were discussing globalization. I remember the professor, a white professor, came into the room, and he said, he was looking at all of us as third world leaders in one way or another, and he said, you know, I think the third world needs to just accept that globalization is a reality, stop fighting it, it is a reality, and work together to see how you can get a niche in there. And that created quite a discussion, because even coming from me, you know, this thing of having to accept it was not sitting well with us. But what he was really saying is, this is the reality of the world today. Now what are you going to do about it? Do you have the resilience? What is it? What is it you're going to do? And you know you can't do it alone, you have to do it together. So that is how I see globalization.
Okay. Well, Mrs. Manley, I want to thank you for spending this time with me. I want to sort of close the interview with asking you to address the Jamaicans in Minnesota. You'll be here shortly to help us celebrate through Jamaica Minnesota Organization the Jamaican independence, and I think that's a special time. It's something that we as Jamaicans are proud of, but we think our entire community ought to share in our joy and the pride we feel at what has happened in our country. So what is your message to Jamaicans in the diaspora?
Let me say first of all that when I decided to accept the invitation, it was after careful thought. And I did accept it because I'm very much a person who understands the critical importance of the diaspora. I don't say we have 2.7 million Jamaicans. We have twice that amount of Jamaicans in the world, which takes us over, what, the 5 million mark, and I like that. There is no doubt that we could not survive to the extent that we have in Jamaica without the thoughts that come from the diaspora, without the money that comes from the diaspora in terms of remittances, all the social programs. I don't know if there's any other diaspora in the world that is so forward-thinking in terms of just loving and caring for those of us who remain on the rock. So the first thing I'd like to acknowledge in acknowledging Jamaicans who live in Minnesota is acknowledging those who live in the diaspora generally, to just say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward so much to being with you. I know it's going to be a tight weekend for me because I'm coming up one day, being with you one day, leaving the next day, but I'm looking forward to it very much. I always have a great time when I'm with the diaspora. And to say that in terms of my book, the diaspora have been just so wonderful wherever I have been, whether it is in the US, Canada, or the United Kingdom. They have just come. And you know what I love about it? People have stories. They have such beautiful stories. I spent a whole year promoting the book, and one of my regrets, and I hate having regrets, is that I wasn't recording some of those stories. There's a whole book in the stories. People would come up to me to have their book autographed, and they say, before you autograph it, I have to tell you something. I met you in 1975, and the stories are fabulous. People come up and say, if it wasn't for free education, I would have a profession today. So in a sense, it kind of revalidated the 1970s. Around which there's been so much controversy, when people just come up and tell you what it meant to them personally. So, to my Jamaican brothers and sisters in Minnesota, I love you, I look forward to seeing you, and we're going to have a wonderful independence celebration together.
And thank you so much, Madam First Lady Beverly Manley. Thank you so much.
And thank you very much.